let's start. If you have any problem with the sound, please let me know through the chat section, and we will try to solve it. Okay, so this webinar is to present DAPSI project and also to present the first open call that we launched the last month, and that will be open until the 22nd of April. So first, before starting, I would like also to thank the people, the team from MyData, because they gave me this opportunity to talk to you and to explain this project among their community members. So thank you. And well, after that, I will introduce myself. This is Sara Mateo. I'm the project coordinator, and I work for Zavala Innovation Consulting. But well, as part of my work in this company, I'm leading this project. Okay, so let's continue. Today, the idea is to describe the project, to give you a good overview of the aim of this project, also to review the data portability challenges we have identified. Then we will go into detail with the application process to help you in a more practical way. And we will finish the webinar with a questions and answers round. So if you have any question, you have the opportunity to share these questions through the chat or through the questions section. It's available in the tool, and well, we will try to clarify it. So what's DAPSI? To better understand this project, I think that it's important to explain you the context. I would say that there are two important things. One is the regulation. As you know, in 2018, a new GDPR was entered into force, and as a result, specifically in Article 20, there is a goal to make for citizens easier to, for example, transfer data from one provider to another, and definitely to have more control over their personal data. Also, I would like to present you the NGI initiative. This is the Next Generation Internet initiative by the European Commission that has the objective of making internet more open, inclusive, transparent, with more privacy, and well, in general, a human-centric internet. So with these considerations and under this initiative, the NGI, this project was funded by the European Commission. And what is the objective of this project, DAPSI? DAPSI, the Data Portability and Services Incubator. Well, we have the aim to foster the advanced research in the data portability domain, and we will do it supporting researchers, SMEs, startups, innovators, any kind of company or individual with expertise in this field. We will support them, and we will do it with funding, equity-free funding, and also with some services in different areas that that will make them strong enough to really develop a solution and successfully reach the market. The project started last November. It has a duration of 36 months. And during this time, we will have a good budget. This is around 7 million euros. From this amount, the main part of this budget, exactly 5.6 million euros, will be distributed to fund to support these third parties. And we will be 6 partners in charge of this from 5 different countries. Here, just to show you who we are, already mentioned that I'm working on Valley Innovation Consulting. In the project, we are in charge of the coordination, but also we are in charge of all the call management process. Also, we have on board F6S. They are a partner that is the largest social network for startups in the world, with more than 1 million tech startups in this platform. And they will be in charge of the dissemination of this project. And they will also provide its platform to implement the submission of the applications for the calls. We also have from HOFA with us. They are the scientific partners, and they, let's say, are the experts in the data portability field. We have also engineering. They are a very large IT company based in Italy, and they will give access to infrastructure in the project, Power Lab infrastructure. And we have also on board Cap Digital. This is a business cluster based in Paris. And with IMT Starter, that they are a public institution with 8 engineering schools, both based in France, will provide this part more related to business acceleration to the teams, third parties involved. If we review the project in figures, I can say that we have 3 open calls planned for this project. Now we are just launching the first one, but we will have 2 more opportunities in the future. Through these 3 calls, we plan to recruit up to around 250 SMEs, innovators, researchers to take part in the program. The program where these third parties will be involved has a duration of around 9-10 months. Later we will see it more in detail. And as already said, we have a budget of 5.6 million, and the idea is to distribute it among the third parties with a maximum amount per third party of up to 150,000 euros. How it will be implemented in the program? Well, once the parties are selected and are engaged in our program, we have this divided in 2 different phases. The first phase 1, has a duration of around 5 months, and this has a maximum funding of 100,000 euros. It will have the funding divided in 3 payments in phase 1. There will be an initial pre-financing at the beginning in September. There will be also a mid-term evaluation of this phase with a first payment. This will be remote. And at the end of the phase 1, there will be a second payment and a evaluation in a face-to-face event, if possible, if the conditions for doing this are okay. And in this final evaluation of phase 1, from the 15 teams that will be engaged in this first call, only 10 teams, the best 10 teams, will be selected to progress to the second phase. At the end of phase 1, the idea is that all those teams working in their research and development activities, they will be able to produce, to have ready a first version of their solution, a first prototype, let's say. And in the second phase, they will continue working with more funding support, up to 50,000 euros that will be paid at the end of the phase. They will work to finish the second phase with a minimum viable product or solutions or service. It will depend in its case, sorry. But with a mature solution that could be reached the market in the short run. Of course, if the exploitation objective is the market. Okay. And well, this is more or less the incubation structure. Last thing in this part is to explain you the target audience. We can say that we are very open in terms of eligible applicants. Any natural person or legal entity can apply to this call. Even this can be done individually or in a consortium. There is not a limit of numbers of participants. So you can apply following different configurations. The team, the kind of profiles, well, we can talk about internet technologists, researchers, innovators, developers, any profile able to work in this field. And the funding, of course, will be limited depending on the kind of applicant participating. I mean, if an applicant is just one natural person applying individually, the funding will be limited to 37,500 euros. If, for example, 2 individual persons apply, the funding will be limited to 75,000 euros. And for any other case, more than 2 persons, a legal entity, more than 1 legal entity plus individuals, any other configuration, will have a funding of 150,000 euros, if of course reach the last phase of the program. Regarding the data portability challenges, well, here there are some main areas of work. This was the definition of these areas were the result of a survey implemented by Fraunhofer. Through this survey, we'll reach different experts in Europe that contributed to this definition. So our colleagues in Fraunhofer and all these experts in Europe we're working to finally identify these main areas. So here you have data transparency for a more transparent personal data storage, and also a more fine-grained data transfer when exercising personal data access right. Also, the second area, the data interoperability and compatibility, to facilitate switches between service providers. Security and privacy, to ensure that the personal data are transferred in okay, sorry, I cannot see that, sorry. that are transferred in a secure way. And finally, you can of course think in other kind of relevant solution in the data portability domain, data correction, data ownership, and so on. So we have these three main areas, but any other kind of project could be eligible for funding. Also, you can cover, of course, more than one of these areas. So we are totally open to any kind of project. Okay. And how to apply. If you are decided to do that, you see that you have a good idea in this area and you want to participate, I would recommend you a first and basic step, that it's to read the guidelines and also the facts, the frequently asked questions. We have a section in our website with common questions. So first, please read all this information in detail. I think that it's the best thing to don't miss any relevant information. The guidelines give you an overview of the call, the legibility criteria, the evaluation process, the financial support that is provided, how to prepare the proposal and submit it. Well, all the information needed. So please do it in the first place. The second step is to think of a good idea in the data portability domain. We look for questions for challenges, for solutions in this field. This is also key. So already presented, there are main areas identified, but you can offer whatever you think it can be relevant. And with this really clear, you can start with the preparation of your proposal. How it works? Well, we have a form ready for submission using F6's platform. This is the official channel you have to use. In F6's form, there are different sections to prepare your proposal. There is a first section with the proposal identification, a second one where you have to indicate the subdomain you will address in your proposal. Also, there is a section for administrative data about the participant, about the applicant, and also other participants if there is the case of a consortium. Also, section 4 is the proposal description. And finally, section 5, it's to review some questions related to, for example, you have to declare that you are in compliance with the open call rules, that the information submitted is true, this kind of formal questions. So also important, very important, and we have been seeing in the applications already submitted that sometimes it's a common mistake that people is not using the official template we provide. This picture here shows that there is a proposal template that it's mandatory. This is very, very important. This document is a Word document with all the sections that you have to complete in your proposal. It has an extension limit of 10 pages. There is also through the document in blue text some guidelines about what you have to include in each section. So please, when using the template, read the guidance very, very carefully. Try to respond to all the information requested in each section. It's important for you to know that each section and each information that it's requested is directly linked with an award criteria. So if you missed some of the information we expect, it will be penalized in the evaluation. So please take this into account. And the last thing is an additional template that you have to upload only in those cases where the consortium is large. The form in App6S is prepared for a maximum of 3 natural persons and 3 legal entities. If it is the case that, for example, you apply and you are a group of 4 individuals, natural persons, you don't have space in the form to complete all the information for all the participants. So in those cases, you will have to submit this additional template with a description of each participant. And I would like also to review with you the eligibility criteria. This eligibility criteria means that if you meet all the conditions, you can be legally selected to be part of the DAPSI program. If in any case you don't comply with all the conditions, you will be automatically discarded and you won't be evaluated. So it's important to review all the eligibility conditions to be sure that you can participate. Well, the first one, the type of beneficiary. I explained you that any natural person or legal entity is allowed to participate, but there is a restriction, an exception, and it's for the large enterprises. They are excluded, they cannot participate because they are not in the objective of our program. So keep also this in mind. The second thing is about the country of establishment or residence. Establishment in case of companies and residence for these people applying as natural persons. So you have the full list of eligible countries described in the guidelines, but in general I could say that are eligible in the member states of the European Union, also the overseas countries and territories linked to the member states. The Horizon 2020 associated countries are also included here. And also, I would like to clarify that UK participants are eligible for this call. The third thing is the language. Take into account that the official language for the application and evaluation will be English. Also, to say that not multiple submission is allowed. Only one proposal per applicant will be evaluated. If you submit more than one proposal, only the last one will be considered. And also, for example, in the case of individuals, you have to participate just in one proposal. It's the condition for entities and for individuals. Also here we include that there is an official submission system and templates. We already mentioned this. So the submission should be done through these official systems. We cannot, for example, receive your proposal by email, or we are not going to admit a proposal where the official template for the proposal description was not used. In relation to conflict of interest, to say that applicants cannot be, for example, DAPSI consortium partners or affiliated entities to the consortium partners. And finally, the deadline. Proposals submitted after the deadline are not eligible. So take into account that the 22nd of April at midday we have our deadline. Regarding the evaluation, there will be different steps. The first one will be the eligibility filter. So we will check the consortium, we will check the legibility conditions, and we will discard those proposals that, for example, are submitted by people that it's not based in an eligible country. Once this filter is done, the eligible proposals will be evaluated remotely by external evaluators. Its proposal will be evaluated by 3 experts, and they will do this job in relation to 3 main areas: the excellence and innovation of the proposal with a 40% of weight, the expertise and excellence of the proposed team with 30% of the weight, and the project planning and value for money with the 30% of weight. Its criterion will be evaluated from 0 to 5, and its main category, excellence, expertise of the team, and project planning, will have to be scored with at least 3 out of 5 points to reach the minimum threshold that we set by category. For the total score, there is a threshold of 12 points out of 15. Once the evaluation is finished, there will be a consensus meeting, and as a result, we will generate the ranking list of selected participants. This will be finally approved by the European Commission, and we will proceed to the communication of results. The timeline for all this process is the one so. We will finish the call on the 22nd of April. Then there will be this evaluation process that we have explained, and the communication of results is expected by June. Hopefully by mid-June will be ready. And then there will be a process of sub-grantee agreement preparation that will be implemented in July, August, and once the contracts with the selected participants are finished, we will be able to start with the program in September with the kickoff of phase 1. And with all this information already shared, just to give you a last message, that you have the open call ready for applications. And this link, we will share the presentation later, so you will have all the information. And in this link, through this link, you can access the application tool. Consider that the deadline is on the 22nd, and important, it will finishes at 12 noon. It's midday, not midnight, so be careful with this, okay? And now I think that we can start with the questions and answers for knowing better your doubts. So I'm going to go to the questions section. Let me 1 second. Okay, I start reading the questions. The first one says, if you have two people project, should the amount of subvention be equal between both? Okay, related to the funding amount, in this case with two people, the maximum amount would be 75,000 euros, and it's your decision how you distribute this amount. In the proposal, there is a section for the budget estimation, so there you can make a first attempt with the budget, but then what we will do is there will be a coordinator in this between the two people. One of these persons will be the coordinator. We will transfer the money. We will give the payment to this coordinator, and then these persons should have an internal agreement to see how to distribute this funding. But this is not our decision, okay? Okay, next question. Okay, is this intended for those targeting end users or also those creating tooling for developers to build applications for end users? Okay, with the projects, we don't plan to limit the kind of projects you can propose. We are totally open to any kind of project, always. This is relevant in the data portability domain. So I think that you can feel free to check in our guidelines the kind of examples that we describe about possible projects. But of course, you have to feel free to propose whatever you want. Okay. Next question. If there are 2 or 3 ideas within the domain of data portability, do we include this in a single application or multiple applications? You can cover more than one idea in a proposal. It can be an ambitious project. It's okay. It's great. And I think that it's the good way to do it, because it's not possible for a person to submit two proposals. So I would say that you can propose something addressing different kind of challenges. Next question. Someone asked about value for money. For whom? Okay, here in the value for money, if you take the template and you read, there are information that helps you to understand what it means. But well, this is to explain really your work plan, the tasks you plan to implement, to estimate the effort, the personal effort that you will dedicate to carry out these tasks, and also to estimate in terms of budget how much money you will use for covering this work. Okay. Next question: is the funding so-called de minimis funding? No, this is not linked to minimis. It's no problem with this. Also here I see a link to something. I don't know what is it. Sorry. Okay, what defines an enterprise? Well, we can select any kind of legal entity. It can we can select universities, research centers, NGOs, companies, but they have to be small, according to the SME definition of the European Commission. It's checked if you consider the staff the people employed in this company, also the turnover of the company. So checking this kind of information, you can see if the company is an SME or is a large company. It's always according to the definition of SME by the European Commission. Okay. Next question. Is it necessary to include a research center? Could you please give more details on the evaluation criteria? Related to the first question, it's not needed to include a research center. It's also possible for a person to apply alone, so no, this is not needed. And regarding the evaluation criteria, there are three main pillars, and I think that the best the information that you have included in the proposal template gives you an idea of what we will check. I mean, for example, in the excellent part, this corresponds to the excellent section in the proposal template, and there we ask you about the objectives, the impact of your proposal, the exploitation plan, so you can easily identify the items that will be evaluated. I think that this is the best source of information. Okay, next question. The MVP should be an independent system service, or it can be an added value component in an existing operational platform. Yeah, both cases could be possible, but we expect a relevant progress, a relevant development through the 9 months of program. So if this, for example, added value component in an existing platform is ambitious enough, it's okay. If it's your decision to consider if this is something really relevant or not. Well, let's see the next question. Does the project need to strictly respond to one of the subdomains recalling the data portability, or can it recall other principles in the GDPR like right to be forgotten? Well, it's important that it must be aligned with data portability. This is a project very specific in the data portability domain. So you have the freedom to propose whatever you want in this field, in this specific field, but be careful, don't lose the focus. Okay. Is it possible for one entity to be part of multiple bids? No, multiple participation is not possible, so you have to participate in one proposal only. Should we have a use case or general idea? Both possibilities are okay. Perhaps your idea has a clear use case, or perhaps you are in a more low level of maturity, for example, and you have an idea right now. So yeah, both cases are possible. Next question, is topic 2 only about switching competing services, like transferring data from your former energy provider to your new one? Or can we also have interoperability use cases where a user transfer data from one service to a complementary one, like sending your food purchases to a nutrition coach? Well, I think that we already commented this. You can address different topics. This is very open. However, if the question is very technical, I'm not the person to clarify that. So I invite you to write any very technical question to the email contact that you can see in the screen, dapsi@ndi.eu, and we will clarify this later. Next question. Can the funding be used to explore using existing technology in this new setting? Oh yeah, if again, if what you propose is relevant enough and you expect a substantial progress from the beginning of the program till the end, of course, this is something valid and eligible. Can we include projects that started before September 2020? Okay, the maturity level expected at the submission stage could differ from one applicant to another. We don't establish a maturity level for the beginning of the program. So perhaps you have been working in an area and you have something already developed, no problem. But during the program, if you are selected, you have to propose something more. You have to progress in your solution and really use the funding, the support to progress in your solution. How many projects about will you found? There will be around 15 teams selected in this first open call, but there is not a limited number of projects in each area or category to be found. It can happen that all the good proposals are under the I don't know, the security topic. It's possible, so no restrictions. Okay, let's see more questions. Okay, are micro enterprises acceptable as well as SMEs? Yes, of course they are eligible. Only large are restricted. And I think that we have two more questions before finishing. Okay, how important is it for the proposal to demonstrate commercial potential and a clear route to market? Okay, there is a section to explain your exploitation plan, but it's not compulsory to have a market target. Perhaps your proposal could be just proposed to contribute to a better internet without really a commercial purpose. So it's also possible, and these kind of projects are also expected. And the last question, is there any guidance on open source or licensing requirements, and are they lower for pre-existing components or support for proprietary systems? Related to this, I forgot to mention, but this is important, so thank you for the question. We always encourage the use of open source licenses. In fact, if you are not using them and you use proprietary systems, we expect a justification and explanation for that, because if possible, we always expect the use of open source. Okay. And I think this was the last question. So if there is no more questions from participants, I think we can, well, I have another one question. The last one. I think that the person is writing. So let's wait. Okay, in the meantime, while we wait for the question, to say you that, I will send the presentation and the recording to the MyData team, so then they can share it with all of you. And also, I invite you to use the media channels we have to follow all the news in the project. And also, if you have questions, you can use the email that I saw in the screen, that it's created for your questions and doubts during this open call process. Okay, so the questions. If you expect the software to be open source, it might compromise route to market. There's always a tension between the two objectives, so it's unclear how to strike the right balance. Okay, so in this case, depending on your final purpose with this project, you will have to justify if it's not possible to use an open source, because the exploitation, the future exploitation, it's limited. Doing this, you will have to justify this in the proposal. And Carolina from MyData says that yes, it will be shared in Slack. And Timu, okay, says that it's that it's useful, and that there will be many applications from the heart of MyData. So yeah, great. It's I'm very happy with that. I hope this is helpful for you, and well, let's keep in contact for future questions and collaborations. So thank you, everybody. I think we can finish here, and well, good luck with your applications.